name's Brady Burks.
I'm Colton House.
And it's no secret we both like to hunt.
But part of what makes us great hunters is having great places to hunt.
Yeah. As far as northeast Kansas, we didn't do much more pheasant and quail hunting this year, and that's because, quite frankly, there really ain't that many places to hunt. So part of our project, we took the Kleinfelter farm, and we're going to manage it for pheasant and quail, so that way people like me and PB House can go out there and kill some birds. Watch us.
Using the Kleinfelter farm as our model, Brady and I are going to show you how we would develop cool and warm season grasses for pheasant and quail habitat.
In addition, on the south edge of the farm, we're also going to show you how to establish a food plot for the deer and other activities. Go.
Right here, this is a landing strip for planes. It's made up of cool season grasses that they just keep mowed off, and this is where we were planning on putting our pheasant and quail habitat. Down here is a pond just south of it.
Over here to the south of that is where we're going to try and install our deer food plots. And up to the north of that, we're going to use this to plant milo. Pheasant and quail, as well as deer, can both benefit from milo. And just to give you guys a reference point, right here is the barn that you can see when driving by 36. So just to give you guys kind of where we're talking about. So we said we're going to use Davies Airfield up here is what's going to be our mix of warm season grasses for our pheasant and quail. This mix of warm season grasses is going to establish a horizontal and vertical cover for nesting, as well as good cover from predators. Go ahead and talk about what we're going to put in there, PB House.
Here in Davies Airfield, we're going to plant a variety of warm season grasses, including big blue stem, Indian grass, and little blue stem.
These grasses are heavy enough to establish cover for the pheasant and quail, but not too thick that they can't get in there. Deer can also benefit from them because they can bed down in there and hide from predators as well. But we like it because it's higher elevation than other parts of the farm, whereas we don't have to worry about flooding and other instances like that that can take away our nesting or could ruin our stand.
Here in Davies Airfield, with planting our warm season grasses, we're going to put on 6 to 8 pounds of each warm season grass.
Because Davies Airfield's 57 acres, it will be kind of expensive because warm season grasses are a lot pricier than when compared to cool season grasses. However, once established, you've pretty much got them forever.
It's going to cost about $100 per acre, which adds up being $17,100.
And that's for the entire stand. That's going to be your Indian grass, your little blue stem, and your big blue stem. And so after purchasing each bag of seed, that's going to be your total cost for that. The next thing we're going to talk about is our deer food plots. We've got it down here highlighted in red. It's on the south portion of the farm, but we've got it on the north portion of this tree line. The reason being this tree line's good cover for them. It's also good shelter from this highway down there. And we don't want cars driving by seeing big old deer out in the field and honking their horn, or even some people who think it's better to deer hunt between 2 and 5 in the morning. Colton's going to go ahead and talk about some of the plants that we're going to put in this and why.
Yeah, down here in the deer plot, we're going to put in tetraploid ryegrass, red clover, winter peas, and turnips. The turnips are good because as it's cool, the deer will eat the tops, but as the winter gets harsh, they'll dig back down and root up those turnips, which the turnips will also keep the grasshoppers out of our plot.
They'll keep those grasshoppers out of our red clover, but then speaking of our red clover, that's going to fix nitrogen in the soil for those winter peas, and and of course our tetraploid ryegrass, and that's going to be good protein. They can be out there during the cool season when the sun is at its highest peak, and sun's pretty key for deer antler growth. It's kind of like photosynthesis in plants. So that's gonna keep deer out there in the middle of the summer eating on green forages, and then of course as the winter gets harsh, like PB House said, they've got those turnips they can dig up and eat and get those starches from, keep them going, keep them healthy. The next thing we're going to talk to you about is what we've got highlighted in blue here. This we're going to sow to milo.
Yeah, right here in the milo, it's going to be a good hunting point for deer because right here they'll be in the food plot and be walking through the milo all the time.
Also, as far as our pheasant and quail go, they'll always be safe up here in the Davies Airfield, but if they come down here to eat some of our milo, you can hunt them through here. One of the big things about hunting is pressure. You don't want to overpressure your animals or they won't be in there. So as long as your pheasant and quail can go back here and rest during the day, they can always be out in this milo eating, and you can hunt them in here, and you won't overpressure them or anything like that. Same thing for the deer. They'll be down here in this timber or down here in your food plot, but you can catch them walking through this milo if they decide to use it, and you never overpressure your animals. They'd always have a safe haven to go back to in each case, and you as a hunter would always have a good spot right here in this milo field. Okay, so the next thing we've got is this highlighted down here in green. And we got to looking at this map, and you know, we've got a good stand of our warm season grasses for our pheasant and quail. We've got a food plot for our deer, and we've got a milo field that's gonna help both of them. But then we got to looking at this, and we got a lot of space still not used up. So here's what we decided to do.
Right here we're going to put sunflowers. And Dove loves sunflowers. I know we're not really managing this just for Dove, but all this land can really be used for almost anything. Dove would be a great place to hunt right here in the sunflowers.
Yeah, Dove loves sunflowers, and you know, we say Dove, but really the pheasant and quail, they can utilize that sunflower patch as well. And also the deer will walk through there and eat the tops of those sunflowers off. And I mean, what's better than a little bit of sunflowers in the summer, make it aesthetically appealing? Yeah, but anyway, we're going to put sunflowers there just to use up some more of the land. Got that? Alright.
Now, we're going to talk a little bit about fencing. Fencing really isn't a big deal here because we're not running a guiding service or a lodge or anything like that, or at least yet. But if we're going to put up some fence, we're going to run it from Davies Airfield, just border that. The pheasant and quail could use that fence line because even if you keep all this mowed down right here, there's always going to be grasses growing up around the fence, and they'll be able to use that to bed down in for cover if all this is mowed down.
If we were to put in a fence, we'd go ahead and go big, and we'd go the 5-strand barbed wire, and that's just because the 5-strand, that extra strand will run even lower to the ground, giving that more vertical cover, horizontal cover, I should say, for those pheasant and quail, that predators, it just make it that much more harder for predators to get them if they're using that fence. The next question people are going to ask is, how are we going to pay for this project? I mean, it sounds pretty extensive. Warm season grasses aren't that cheap.
But maybe with a little bit of help from Pheasants Forever or Quail Unlimited, we could get some funds to maybe help us get all these plants in the ground, our food plots, things like that.
As far as our deer plots go, you know, maybe some people like Tecumate or some other deer plot manufacturers would even sponsor us the seed, being a college, and they part of the exchange of labor would be to keep research on how well those deer are growing or how well they're doing. Like I said, maybe you could open it up for people to hunt. You know, even though it is just the school farm, you could open it up to, you know, an annual hunt and charge some money to get some of that revenue generating. But the big thing is that this is going to kind of pay for itself once it's established, because you can harvest those sunflowers when you're done hunting. You can
mow off that hay ground if you need it. Really, and then I mean, you're gonna have meat in the freezer too. So
that's the most important thing right there. But thanks for watching, guys. Like I said, part of what makes us good hunters is having good places to hunt, and now that we got good places.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yep. Thank you.